Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Bank Shop Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Tuesday, January 30th, 2024. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my college basketball Bank Shop best bet, you can find this at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Tuesday in college hoops. First up, we see Miami, Ohio, and Kent State in the MAC. This one's going to be a 7 p.m. Eastern start time. It's going to be on ESPN+. I think this is a really good spot for Kent State. I mean, it's a letdown spot for Miami, Ohio after they upset Akron in the last game, 70-68 the final score. And give credit to the Red Hawks. They played well in that game, and that was even with Akron shooting well from the perimeter. But I think going forward, that was a home game. Now you're back on the road against a Kent State team that I've mentioned, I think is one of the better teams in this conference, despite their 3-5 conference record right now. I think we see this team improve as we continue conference play. Kent State's off a loss to Ohio in their last game, 71-64. Not a great loss, but not a terrible loss. We know Ohio's been really good in this conference the last 5 seasons or so. A bit of a down year for the Bobcats, but they're still always tough to play. I think we see a much sharper performance here from the Golden Flashes. I think they have the big advantage in the shot quality side of things. Fundamentally, I also think they're the better team. I like the fact that they force a lot of turnovers. Miami, Ohio, one of the weakest rebounding teams in this conference. I think for a guy like Chris Payton, one of the better players in this conference, he should have a big day on the glass. So I'm going to go with Kent State in this one to bounce back. Got to go with the Kent State Golden Flashes and lay the points. Next up, we see Illinois and Ohio State. This one's going to be a 7 p.m. Eastern start time. It's going to be on Peacock. Now, I know a lot of people wouldn't want to take a team struggling like Ohio State has. They've lost 5 of the last 6 games, and they've been a disappointment again in Big Ten play. But I think because of their recent struggles, we're getting a really good price with the home team here in the Buckeyes, and I'm not ready to give up on this team. I think they're shot quality-wise a solid team. Fundamentally, they're strong on the glass. They take care of the basketball. This is an Illinois team that we saw just play Indiana. They won that game but failed to cover by quite a large margin, and that was despite Indiana not making a single three-pointer in that game. They were 0 of 9, 0% from 3. Illinois still only wins that game by single digits. That's concerning for me. Now on the road where Illinois has not really been tested in conference play, they have a few true road wins, but against weak teams in this conference, Rutgers, Michigan, doesn't really tell us too much. In other true road games in conference play, like at Purdue and at Northwestern, we saw the Illinois Illini lose outright, and I just don't trust them in this spot. Laying points on the road, I think Ohio State is just as competitive and just as talented as this Illinois team, and just because of the records on paper, I'm not going to overreact to those. So I'm going to take Ohio State plus the points at home. I think they win the game outright. Next up, we see Iowa and Indiana. This one's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on the Big Ten Network. Now, a lot of times we talk about how important home court advantage is in conference play, and especially in these major conferences where these teams, a lot of them have, bigger arenas, bigger stadiums, and the home court advantage, the atmosphere is, crucial in these games. And while I definitely agree to that, I don't think it matters in a game like this, and it certainly didn't matter last year when Iowa went on the road. This is not necessarily an Iowa team or program that's necessarily known for playing well on the road, but last year they went on the road at Indiana and not only won that game outright, but blew them out, 90-68 the final score. It was competitive early on, the first 5-10 minutes, and then Iowa just ran away with it. And I think Iowa wins this. I think that was a much better Indiana team last year. This year's team, 12-8 overall, 4-5 in conference play. They've lost 3 straight games and 4 of their last 5. They have not been competitive in a lot of those games. We've seen, a few double-digit losses, 21-point loss to Purdue, double-digit loss against Wisconsin. They were, okay against Illinois. They covered the number, like we mentioned a game ago. But this is an Indiana team that's not strong fundamentally, one of the weakest rebounding teams in the conference. Their defense is not really trustworthy. It's ranked 75th in adjusted defensive efficiency, but they don't force turnovers. Like I said, it's not strong on the defensive glass. And shot quality-wise, I think Iowa's going to have a big day offensively. The question is, can Iowa's defense keep up? And I've mentioned, I think Iowa's defense is a lot better than its current efficiency numbers and a lot better than what we see on paper. Yes, Iowa does give up a lot of points per game, but I do think some of that is because of the pace of play that Iowa plays at, the 14th fastest offense. So naturally, their defense is going to give up, a good amount of points. But as long as the offense, scores 88 points like we saw last game against Michigan and 90-plus points like we've seen them score in conference games, I think they'll be fine in this one, even on the road. We've seen them already win a few true road games against Minnesota and Michigan in conference play. So I'm going to go with Iowa here. I'm going to lay the points with the Hawkeyes on the road. Next up, we see Seton and DePaul. This one's going to be a 9 p.m. Eastern start time. It's going to be on Fox Sports 1. DePaul, we know it's been a disaster season again for the Blue Demons. They're 3-17 overall. They're 0-9 in conference play. And this is usually a team that plays pretty well in non-conference play and then struggles when it gets to the Big East. But it struggled all season so far. They only have 3 wins: South Dakota, Louisville, and Chicago State. All those wins outside the top 200 in terms of the KenPom ratings. But this is also a team that all we care about is against the spread. And this is a team who's covered 3 straight games, catching a ton of points against teams like Butler, Marquette, and Creighton. Obviously, Marquette and Creighton, 2 of the better teams in this conference. But DePaul, as the underdog, covered in those games. And Seton Hall's on a 3-game losing streak outright. They lost to Creighton, triple overtime, a heartbreaker. Lost to Providence by 4 and got blown out by Marquette 75-57. This is a similar spot where we saw Memphis and UAB on Sunday, where obviously, UAB is a much more competitive team than DePaul, but it was a spot where Memphis just wasn't playing great basketball, and I wasn't willing to lay a lot of points with that team on the road. I just couldn't trust them. Right now, it's the same thing for Seton Hall. Yes, they've won some true road games in this conference, but with their current form and the fact that Richmond, their best player, arguably, may be out again for this game, I just can't get there with the Pirates at this kind of number. I think DePaul, I still think Seton Hall wins this game, and I think DePaul covers again for their 4th straight underdog cover. Give me the points here with the DePaul Blue Demons. Next up, we see the final game for Tuesday's card in college basketball. It's going to be San Diego State and Colorado State. This one's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network. I think this is a really good get-right spot for Colorado State, who has not been in great form lately. I mean, we've seen them lose 4 of their last 6 games. But the thing is, all 4 of those losses were on the road. They were against, not great teams like Wyoming. We saw them lose. It's not a great loss, but all in true road games. This team we know is much better at home. They have a great home court advantage. And I think that home court advantage really shows up here, hosting the runner-ups from last year in the national championship. San Diego State, I just haven't been able to trust them on the road. We've seen them put together one strong road performance, and that was against Gonzaga. And we know that this is a bit of a down year for Gonzaga. I see them in the first 4 out in bracketology right now. But other than that one road win, we saw them lose to BYU outright. We saw them barely beat UC San Diego, not come close to covering the number. They won at the buzzer in that game by 1 point, and they lost to Grand Canyon on the road outright. They barely beat San Jose State by 3 points. It's not a great win, only by 3 against one of the weakest teams in this conference. Lost in blowout fashion to New Mexico, 88-70. Lost a close one outright to Boise State in a pick'em line. I can't trust San Diego State on the road here. Give me Colorado State. I'm going to lay the points. And that's it. Those are the games for Tuesday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.